From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Support for the Legislature Today has been provided by the following. The High Technology Foundation, headquartered at the I-79 Technology Park in Fairmont. Online at wvhtf.org. Connecting West Virginia families and businesses through high-speed internet services. Learn more about connecting at frontier.com.
At the Legislature today, some cities in West Virginia have enjoyed home rule. The experiment allows the cities to take a larger role in their own governance. The pilot project is up for renewal in the legislature, and one senator wants to expand it to every community. We'll have that story. And our examination of Governor Tomblin's education reform bill continues as we begin to hear from the teachers' unions on the Legislature today. And good evening, I'm Beth Voorhees. The first of Governor Tomblin's bills introduced this session passed the House today and is now headed to the Senate. That bill seeks to increase penalties for pipeline safety violations. But as Dave Mistich reports, a gun-related bill was introduced, and a bill to prohibit an ineffective cancer treatment was on its second reading.
6 bills were introduced in the House, including House Bill 2760, which seeks to create uniform regulations of firearms, ammunition, and firearm accessories. Delegate Rupert Phillips of Logan County is the lead sponsor on the bill.
This just basically, like Charleston right now has a 3-day wait period before you can pick a gun up and 1 gun a month. This just creates anybody from doing any ordinance themselves, and it's uniform throughout the state.
House Majority Leader Brent Boggs, who is a co-sponsor of the bill, says he supports it and also expects most gun owners to do the same.
It's a bill, I think, as opposed to some other bills that are there, it affects some various other code sections. So we want to get it in committee, take a long, hard look at it, and see where we go. But I'm certainly supportive of it, and I think that the firearms owners across the state would like to have uniformity from one county to the next and one municipality to the next.
House Bill 2487, which seeks to prohibit the use of Laetrile, was on its second reading. The use of this drug is still permitted under state law, and this bill repeals that section of the code. Delegate Don Perdue, who chairs the House Committee on Health and Human Resources, says the drug isn't effective and shouldn't be used to treat cancer patients.
The saga of Laetrile goes back a number of years. In fact, not that many years ago, the federal government actually banned the utilization of Laetrile because it was not found to be effective. It was, in some cases, actually found to be detrimental to people's health. So we're just kind of catching up to what the rest of the nation has done. Within all of that, of course, is also the understanding that in the time that we've been talking about this, a number of new approved drugs that are far more effective have been found to be available in the market, and research is showing that they are much more effective, in fact, than Laetrile, if it were effective at all. And again, many of the claims have been shown, if not all of the claims have been shown, that it was not effective, did not reduce morbidity or mortality.
House Bill 2505 was up for passage on its third reading. Delegate Tim Manchin of Marion County outlines the governor's bill.
This bill is a bill that was referred to by the governor in the state address. It deals with pipeline safety, increasing civil penalties for pipeline safety violations that are regulated by the Public Service Commission.
The bill was amended in the House Judiciary Committee last week to ensure that utility companies couldn't propose rate hikes for consumers to offset penalty costs. Just before the bill went up for passage, House Minority Leader Tim Armstead requested to be excused from voting.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Rule 49 of our House rules, I would just ask for a ruling if I should be excused from voting on this bill. My employer may be affected by it.
As the member has discussed with me on this issue, and we've had these issues before related to gas lines, it would affect the company that you work for, and therefore there would be no direct interest to you. But even if there was, it affects all companies. You would be a member of a class, and under the rules of the House, you would be required to vote.
After the floor session, Armstead further explained his request to be excused from voting and noted that he sought counsel from the Ethics Commission on the matter.
My employer does engage in the natural gas transportation business in West Virginia, and so I had talked with the speaker, and I felt it was important, and under our rules, to disclose that. And the speaker ruled that it doesn't affect me directly, and it affects all companies that engage in that business in West Virginia, so it would be a class vote instead of an actual vote that would affect one company. So he did direct me to vote, but I felt like under our rules I should make that disclosure and just out of abundance of caution request a ruling on that.
In the end, House Bill 2505 passed 91-7, with Delegate Armstead voting in support of the bill. All 7 no votes came from his Republican colleagues. House Bill 2487, which would prohibit the use of Legislature, and the Judiciary Committee substitute for House Bill 2314, both advanced to third reading and will go to vote tomorrow. For the Legislature Today, I'm Dave Mistich in the House of Delegates.
An audit of the state's Home Rule pilot project presented to legislators in November called the program successful and encouraged its continuation and expansion. The project, which must be renewed through legislation this year, gave 4 cities expanded powers. Today, a bill enlarging the program was introduced and would allow any city in the state to apply. Ashton Mara has more about the proposed legislation in the Senate.
Senate Bill 400 was one of 10 bills introduced on the Senate floor today. The bill looks to extend and modify a program already in existence receiving good reviews, the Home Rule Pilot Project.
What my bill does is say, essentially, if it's good enough for 5, it's good enough for all municipalities to try it. I hear constantly from leaders of different municipal governments and so forth that say, I want the opportunity, the ability, and the responsibility to govern our own affairs.
The pilot project was passed by the legislature in 2007 and incorporates 4 cities, Charleston, Huntington, Bridgeport, and Wheeling, and has been called a kind of experiment with their municipal power. While they are still governed under the state constitution and criminal law, they have been given expanded power in areas like urban development, taxation, and annexation. The program now incorporates only large cities, but Carmichael says his bill would open the project to any community who wants to participate.
The opportunity to grow and to develop your own communities still happens best at the local level, whether or not you're a city of 50,000 or a city of 5,000. At least I believe that, and I have a lot of support here, that that government works best closest to the people. So why should someone from Charleston, West Virginia dictate policy to a city in Jackson County or Logan County or anywhere else? They need to govern their own affairs, and we need, as state legislators, to return that control to the local entities.
But not all members of the legislature have agreed with that opinion in the past. Just because the bill was introduced for the first time here on the Senate floor today doesn't mean it's the first time these senators have heard of the issue. The project has reached the end of its 5-year trial period. Senate Government Organization Committee Chair Senator Herb Snyder of Jefferson County helped head a joint interim committee to focus on the issue. In those meetings, Snyder said the program has been beneficial, but he worried that certain powers given to the cities, like taxation, would prevent lawmakers from continuing the program, and his vice chair agreed. Senator Ronald Miller of Greenbrier County also says there's a specific concern with this proposed bill that it may be too expensive for the smaller cities and towns to implement.
It hasn't been discussed in committee yet. We haven't talked about it. I know individual members probably have some concern with that. They want to look at that. And probably municipalities have concern with that. Class 4 cities, it's a very expensive procedure or process to do this. And I think Class 4 cities would some of them would have concern with this.
Carmichael's bill makes no changes to any of the powers the previous cities were given. It would continue with taxation and annexation, both things the interim committee asked the West Virginia Municipal League to back down on to ensure its continuation. But Carmichael says there is some state oversight for these new cities.
The components that are in place now in terms in the pilot projects that are in place now, there is some oversight responsibility, auditing requirements, public hearings, those type things that really make certain that what is being done in a municipal government, any government level, is open and available to the people. That's the key.
Miller says Senate Bill 400 is not the official proposal of the Senate, and Carmichael is not a member of his committee. Still, the bill will be sent to the Senate Committee on Government Organization and is expected to be taken up in the next few weeks. For the Legislature Today, I'm Ashton Mara in the Senate.
We'll continue our look at education reform at this session. First, here's a look at some of the bills introduced in the Senate today. Among the bills introduced in the Senate today, Senate Bill 394 to provide that the amount of scholarship available to dependent children of state troopers who die in the performance of duty is an amount up to but not exceeding $7,500 per year. Senate Bill 395 to absolve the landowner, tenant, or agent of the landowner from any civil liability for injuries to any persons hunting, trapping, or fishing on the landowner's land with or without written permission. Senate Bill 400 to make all municipalities eligible to participate in the Municipal Home Rule Pilot Program. And Senate Bill 402 to amend the Domestic Violence Act by adding and revising definitions, adding 2 new members and revising qualifications for membership on the Family Protection Services Board. The Governor's Education Reform Bill, Senate Bill 359, has been introduced and referred to the Senate Education Committee. In the words of AFT West Virginia President Judy Hale, it's one of the worst bills for education that she has seen in 30 years. Judy Hale joins us tonight, along with the president-elect of the American Federation of Teachers West Virginia, Christine Campbell. Welcome. So glad you're both here. Judy Hale, nice to see you again. Christine Campbell, would you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, my name is Christine Campbell. I'm from Pocahontas County, West Virginia, Hillsborough specifically. I've been teaching for 18 years, just came out of the classroom. I have a bachelor's degree in K-8 multi-subject, an English 5.9 endorsement, and a master's in reading.
And what grade did you teach in?
I taught 7th grade language arts.
7th grade language arts.
Yes.
What made you decide to go into the union leadership?
When I started in AFT, we chartered a local pretty quickly. I became very involved, meeting these people and seeing that this was an opportunity to really get in with teachers and the network that's available, and just saw an opportunity to really have an impact and a voice on education and where we're going.
And you're enjoying it? You're enjoying the work so far?
Yes, it's
Good.
great.
All right, except coming on TV, I know. Okay, Judy Hale, just how bad is this bill?
Well, for the most part, Beth, it's pretty bad.
Really? That's the worst part.
And, you know, I think maybe the part that we're calling the Friends and Family Plan. Yeah, this is the piece that deals with 2 or 3 pieces. The hiring practices, for one thing. They have changed the hiring practices in the bill so that it becomes very subjective. You can almost hire, under this bill, hire anybody you want to for a position. The other piece of my Friends and Family Plan deals with taking away all qualifications for county superintendents. Now, the governor assures me that he's going to fix that part, but as the bill reads, you don't even have to have a degree in anything to be a county superintendent. And the most troublesome, I think, is that the bill gives administrators the authority to move people anytime during the year when there's a vacancy and they have no due process rights. They don't have to post a job. You can't even grieve who they put into that position. And so they've taken due process rights away from teachers, and they have allowed administrators to hire friends and family.
This alternative teaching certification and education requirements has been around for years and years and years. And the argument has always been that you can't put people in a classroom, just give them a teaching certificate and give them a little training for 5 weeks and put them in the classroom. Why not? Isn't this the question? Why not? For either one of you.
You know, Beth, you're talking about Teach for America that is in the bill, which is alternative certification. We have alternative certification now, which allows somebody who maybe retires as an engineer to come into the classroom and take some classes. But what TFA or Teach for America wants is to be able to not go through all the hoops, not to take any pedagogy classes, but to come into the classroom, whether they are have a degree. Now, they do have a bachelor's degree, but it could be in political science, and they could be in a third grade classroom. We have a much better alternative that we have offered. It is a bill that was actually passed and signed last year, and it's called Teacher in Residence, which allows a fourth year or a teacher candidate who has all of their coursework, who has passed the praxis, to go into one of these need areas and get 65% of their pay, and the rest of the money is used between the college and the county superintendent to mentor that teacher. And so these are homegrown teachers, West Virginians who are invested in the community, not somebody who's going to come in who doesn't have a degree in the subject they're teaching and is going to be gone in 2 years.
This bill doesn't negate that recently passed law, does it?
No, it does not. But what we are going to offer is some language that would cause county superintendents and higher ed to really get serious about this bill. Concord and Glenville State are the only two that are trying to put this in place. And so we want all teacher colleges to do it.
This bill came out Monday.
Yes.
Probably been a pretty busy week, Christine.
Yes, it has.
You managed to meet with the governor or the Senate president?
We have met with the governor.
And
We actually met with the Senate president today.
Okay.
We've met with the chair and the vice chair of Senate Education Committee.
And what did you tell them?
We have we have told them many things. We have talked about the things that we like about the bill. I mean, it's not it's not all bad.
Yeah.
We've talked about the preschool program and feel like that is really a beneficial thing to all students in West Virginia. Starting out and having preschool all day, every day. We've talked about the loan forgiveness. That is, needs some tweaking, but it looks like that it really could do some things to help teachers stay in West Virginia and in the profession and help them pay back those loans that they worked so hard to get their degree.
Sure.
So those are just a couple of the things that we've talked about. Do you want to add to?
Well, we've expressed our concerns, and I have to tell you that the governor has asked us to submit some language to him for our concerns for them to look at. And we are going to do that. One of the biggest red flags has been the misunderstanding between whether or not the bill takes away paid holidays.
Yes.
We believe that the bill creates the ability to take away paid holidays. The governor's staff doesn't believe it does that, but they are going to correct it.
Oh, they will?
Yes.
Okay, because I do have that here, and they do strike the language, when any such holiday falls within the employment term, it shall be considered a day of employment term, and the full-time school personnel shall receive his or her pay for same, and it's crossed out.
That's the only section in code that says paid holiday. They leave holidays in there, but they take out the part that says, that guarantees that it's paid. Okay. So the governor has assured us that that is going to be corrected. That was not his intent.
Okay.
And I believe it was not his intent.
Okay. Everybody's talking about the school calendar, balanced calendar, year-round calendar, got to get 180 days of instruction in. What's the union's suggestion for allowing counties to come up with a more flexible calendar?
Well, first of all, we all know that the beginning of a child's life is very important at home, and we know that once they enter school, the biggest impact on their success during the school day is the teacher. So we all want children to be in school as much as possible. We don't have an issue with a balanced calendar or getting 180 days. Actually, we got 180 days last year.
Pocahontas County did?
All counties.
All counties did?
All counties, except for because of the special election.
Okay.
So it was 179 for all counties. We do feel like there's a way to go about getting a balanced calendar in counties if they so choose. We like the flexibility that the bill offers, but it doesn't require counties to go through a process to get community buy-in. So we feel like if it's done right, it can be very beneficial. But counties we have 55 counties, and there are 55 very different counties. So we do agree that they need the flexibility to do that and open their calendar up. But we also know that the calendar has opened up.
Yeah, they did try to change that, make it more flexible
additional days, and it did help last year. Now, the examples that we've seen of a balanced calendar don't sometimes. I saw one where the 3 weeks go 9 weeks off, or on 3 weeks off. That 3 weeks were actually in September, and then you were on in January. So we need to make sure that the counties can look at that and say what works best for us based on our area, our weather, everything that we have, and work through that.
I didn't realize that snow days are considered instructional days. Even though the school is closed and they're not in school, a snow day is an instructional day.
In a lot of, well, it becomes, the calendar is a 200-day calendar, and that's set at the beginning of the year, and those are paid days, 180 for students and 20, non-instructional days. So if you have a snow day, in a lot of counties, here in Kanawha County, for example, most of the time teachers are required to report.
That means that's the code, teacher's code
that's
B,
right,
or
that's
teacher's
the
code
difference
A.
code.
Okay.
And so yes, they are paid for that. They are at the school.
And this bill does not change that?
This bill, yes, this bill says that snow days will not be paid. And let me give you an example of that. We just had the derecho.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Christine had to tell me how to say that. And some counties missed as many as 11 days. So if they were not paid for that, let's take a service personnel, for example, who's making maybe $24,000 a year. During that pay period, that 2-week pay period, they wouldn't be paid for 11 days. They've still got a car payment and a house payment. It makes it impossible if that continues to stay in the bill.
Do you think that'll change in the bill?
I do. I hope so.
All right. Judy Hale, good. This is your last session.
Yes.
We have talked now every session for 20 years, and I'm going to miss you.
It has been a delight, and I so appreciate you,
Thank
Beth.
you very much. Judy Hale and Christine Campbell, thank you very much for coming on, and
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next session, all right?
Yes, you will.
Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
And now here's a look at some of the bills introduced in the House today. Among the bills introduced in the House today, House Bill 2760 to create a uniform regulation of firearms, ammunition, and firearm accessories throughout West Virginia solely determined by the legislature. The bill removes references to regulation of firearms by counties and municipalities. House Bill 2763, at the request of the Department of Health and Human Resources, to remove adult family care homes from the definition of a facility and therefore coverage under the Medication Administration by Unlicensed Personnel Act. House Bill 2764 to extend additional authority and duties for attendants currently given to directors to assistant attendance directors. And House Bill 2765 at the request of the State Supreme Court of Appeals to clarify that a child who is physically healthy and presumed safe is a neglected child if he or she is habitually absent from school without good cause. The bill provides an exemption for parents whose children are receiving home instruction. Up for passage in the House tomorrow, House Bill 2314, to allow a family court judge to order a child to be taken into custody in emergency situations which occur in the presence of the judge. And House Bill 2487, prohibiting the use of Laetrile as a treatment for cancer. This has been the Legislature Today. Tomorrow, our education discussion wraps up with Dale Lee, the president of the West Virginia Education Association. We welcome your questions or comments about the issues at this legislative session. You can email us at feedback@wvpubcast.org. And you can watch the Legislature Today anytime. Just go to our website, wvpubcast.org www.westvirginia.gov/news. I'm Beth Voorhees. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Support for the Legislature Today has been provided by the following. The High Technology Foundation, headquartered at the I-79 Technology Park in Fairmont. Online at wvhtf.org. Connecting West Virginia families and businesses through high-speed internet services. Learn more about connecting at frontier.com.